It's as big as my head.
What is up, everyone? We are back with another discussion. Today it's just me and Mombi, which is totally fine. Can't wait to talk about episode 5. Um, I am excited to kind of like dive into this and hear what you have to say. Last episode I think was gonna be a little difficult to top, if you will, because I mean this episode had a lot happen in it. But considering that episode 4 had the reunion, I think we're all a little biased. But, definitely wanna hear what you have to say because even though this was, an hour long, it felt so eventful. Like, it felt like there was so much happening, and, I don't know, I really did like that. There was a lot going on. Like, what are your first thoughts when you think of this episode?
So, did we open with Carol and Daryl walking through that field? They were like on
Yes.
their way back to the
Like, they were
hangar.
walking by, like, a windmill and all that, yeah,
Yes.
or
Okay.
something like that.
I, first of all, I thought that the episode was amazing.
Mhm,
I didn't think we would be able to top the last episode either, but I think that they did a really good job with
mhm,
the trying with this one because it was it was action packed. Um, but when we start with that first initial sequence of them going to the hangar to see Ash, I lost it because you could tell that Carol was trying to hold back, like, Daryl, stay back here. You can't see him yet. I have to talk to
yeah.
him first.
Oh my god, that was so funny.
Oh, that was hilarious.
It
And all
reminded
of
me.
us on the outside were just like, yeah, you got some explaining to do, girl.
Yeah, and it was giving off the same vibes that we got in the previous episode when she was like, "Oh, you're a lot to deal with," and he was like, "What?" And she's like, "What? What? What?" Like just a brother sister kind of like you know antics. It
Yeah.
feels like, but yeah, I totally get it there. I mean, I didn't like that she was hiding it from him so much because realistically, it was gonna have to come out. The whole situation is just it left kind of like a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. I totally get the situation. I mean, she had to say what she had to say, and the way they explained it with her being like, "Well, I kinda wished it was true." That's the reason why I used, Sophia's name. I was like, "Oh, man, this is brutal," but, I think with Daryl, there would
Drama
be,
does weird
like
things to people.
of course, yeah, and I think with Daryl, there would have been absolutely no judgment. I think the
Yeah.
only judgment, it just comes from her not sharing that information.
Right.
But that's pretty
Yeah.
much it. Hey, lovely, sorry I couldn't be there, but I will be there for the season finale. Hell yeah, feel better, baby.
You know what?
And
Oh, yes, feel better, baby. Hey, girl.
yeah, you on the
Um,
other hand, it sounds like you're a bit. Sounds like you're transitioning over to the Walker side.
uh, yeah, it does, doesn't it? Man, wouldn't that be crazy? At like midstream.
Let's get it on camera, yeah.
Oh my God. Um, but no, and when she was trying to explain to him, it was really shockingly hard for her to come out and say what it was that she said to
Yeah.
Ash too. And when she said, I may have embellished something, I just like
Oh
my I
my
was watching
god.
it. I was watching it with my mom the second time through, and she started cracking up. She was just like,
I
embellished.
thought that was so funny. Like, I just love when people kind of try to go around and then they don't like to use the word lie. It's like, oh, I
Yeah.
might have fibbed a little bit, like they
Yeah.
do
And then
everything in their
immediately
power.
Daryl was like, "Oh, so you lied."
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, God, like one of the best scenes in this entire show, which I think is some of the best acting we've had in the show, comes from Melissa McBride, and it's towards the end of the series. So I do season, I mean episode. Geez, so I do apologize for jumping the gun a little bit. I just really want to talk about this. So you mentioned the secret coming out and the conversation she had with Ash. First off, I think the actor that is playing Ash absolutely killed it. His response to everything, I think, was perfect. Again,
Exactly how we
I
thought it would
truly
be.
exactly, and I mentioned this to you, I think, a couple episodes ago or whatever. I truly believe that the swearing in the show, um, although people know that swearing isn't necessary, I think that it's really impactful to certain pieces of dialogue, specifically when people are angry. And I
Mhm,
think
mhm.
the usage of certain words. In his, blowout was, I think it was extremely necessary, and I feel like you could feel the pain a little more. But
I agree.
the one thing that stood out with that entire performance was Melissa McBride. When he started slamming the wrench on the, table, and she flinched. It doesn't matter how far she's, come, as a character and where she's at now, just to see that trauma still being represented 14
Mhm,
years into the apocalypse was so impactful, and as a viewer,
mhm.
it just that hit me harder than just Ash's, you know, speech or whatever. Like, obviously that hurt, but to see Melissa just that flinch alone was just like, "Oh my god, this woman has done so much to get where she's at," and to see her just, still having a
She
trauma
immediately
response.
resorted to the
Yeah,
cowering, and she was just like,
yeah. Like, and that wasn't her attempt that we've seen in the past where she plays this character, where she plays the weak woman, to in order to get where she is. That was
Mhm.
genuine fear, and I think Melissa McBride absolutely
Yeah,
killed it there. It was
yeah. I mean, at
insane.
the beginning, she even said, "He's not like us. He's gentle." I
Yeah.
She was like, "I really like him."
Yeah, she was like, "Oh, he's a really good person," and that's
Mhm.
really hard to find in this apocalypse,
Yeah, it
and where we
is.
are now, which is fair. But, I thought that was so crazy to watch. It was so important, and I
It
just
was.
love the way they handled it. But, of course, diving back into the beginning of the episode, we start off with our little walk, but it kinda led to, Cadrone finding his way to, I'm not even sure what you call that base. I mean, wherever Falup.
I feel like there was a name for it, but I never really caught on to it,
Yeah.
which is weird because I'm pretty good with names.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I was hoping you would know.
But no, I can't recall a name for that community either.
Mhm.
I started just calling them the skyscraper community because they're on the top of that skyscraper essentially. But I just remember also thinking about their journey, Carol and Daryl's journey to that place when they were talking to each
Mhm.
other. That kind of oh wait, that's when they went there looking for Ash, right? So if we back up a little bit, they found all of those walkers in the plane hangar, and that scared the shit out of me because at first you just hear the walkers because Carol was calling out for Ash, like, Ash, Ash, where are you, Ash? And he really had been up to something. He
Yeah.
turned that place into a
A
legit,
whole
like,
fortress, yeah.
yes. And I was like, when I heard that walker, I was like, why do I hear a walker? Oh my God, wasn't I was terrified it was him. And then when they showed those other guys, I was like, oh, thank God. Thank God.
Yeah,
But yeah, then they started going to that community to search for have well to find some information on how to find him, which I think is crazy that like this community is like the 411. You know what I mean? Like everybody goes to them for information, everybody goes to them to find somebody. But at the same time it's beautiful because I mean people are a resource. So
yeah.
but yeah, and there when they showed that at first I was like, why are we having a new character this late in the game? Like I was like, who is this? And then when they showed who it was, I was literally stunned. I did not think he was going to make it out of there. I thought he was going to die. How did he? I would love to know how he got out of that because those variants were crucial. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a lot of them coming
I'm
in.
hoping there isn't like a I'm hoping it just is as simple as him getting away instead of them being like, "Well, he's working with them," Episode 6 has a huge ass reveal, I don't need to hear any of that, I'd actually I think I'd hate that a lot, but,
I already hate it.
yeah. Yeah.
I don't like the idea of it.
I
No.
just don't want that to be the case because I think that what they're doing with this character and like having a little redemption arc is one of the coolest things that we're seeing right now. I've truly enjoyed like even just hearing Daryl say to him, "I owe you one," is just
Mhm.
such a big step to where they once were, and
Mhm.
it's been really cool to watch. But
Yeah, I actually wrote the actor a little note. I was like, I thought that your performance was superb. And I told him, I was like, I loved your character arc. And it's very rare that you find a character that stands out like that. Because the only other one that, of course, besides like the obvious one, Negan, was like Gabriel. And I mean, because Gabriel's arc was over a span of what, like
a couple
10
seasons,
seasons? No, or
yeah,
eight seasons or something like that. It was wild. But to see his arc happen so quickly and it had such a big impact on the storyline and the plot and like the whole thing. It was really touching. I thought he did a great job.
Yeah. I mean, again, like I've just especially having another character that can just kick ass the way like Daryl can
Hmm.
is just something that's entertaining to me.
Ew, and
Um,
he still mentioned something about Daryl killing his brother. And I'm like, why don't people use their words? He did not kill your brother. We all know this. Why don't you know this
yeah,
already?
yeah.
Ugh.
I remember you mentioning that. It was kind of in my head. I was like, oh wait, that's funny. But it's
Yeah.
definitely one of those things because it's not even just this show where they do that. There's so many shows where they just the lack of communication is why we're having a couple extra episodes. But
Yeah.
not yeah. I mean, this led to, of course, Kadron making his way here, and then of course Daryl and Carol finally making their way, and then we get Carol meeting Laurent, which of course is a big step. And even prior to that, when Cadron was mentioning everything, I mean, it was just so interesting. Laurent knew who Carol was just from the stories, Daryl, and everything. It was just really, really cool to hear him be like, "Oh, the American woman was her name, like Carol or whatever." And I'm just like, "Yeah, hell yeah!"
That's
And
so sweet.
to see them kind of like finally meet and everything was just it was great. I truly did like it because
Hmm.
especially with the bond that he's created with Daryl, it's only fair that he's gonna instantly trust Carol. So
Yeah.
I'm really, really excited to see how that kind of plays out.
Yeah. And how they approached the gates and then that girl just came running at Daryl so happy to see
Yeah,
him. And like for I could only imagine like what Carol was thinking because she's seen this multiple times now where people these foreign people are just falling over Daryl like we
yeah.
love you, like we missed you, like come, we owe you everything. I'm like
And I think that's where the show kind of is gaining its importance, and I feel like they're really doing a good job highlighting it. So Daryl has always been kind of like a favorite, and in the thing is, in the main show, he was yeah. I mean, people would follow him if he said the word, but he wasn't necessarily always put in the position where he needed to be the leader. So although people would listen to what he needed to say, he never kind of like abandoned or never like abused that role because he just wasn't put in
right.
that position a lot. Whereas here, he is looked to as the one in like, he's the one who is protecting Laurent. He is the one who is kind of calling the shots here, and Philippe, of course, is a character who has his own, these are his people. But at the end of the day, he's going to listen to what Daryl has to say, which means those people are going to listen to what Daryl has to say. So it's a whole different position where he is actually looked upon as like a hero, as one of their biggest leaders, and
Mhm.
I think it's something that although we knew he was a leader in Alexandria, I feel like they didn't highlight it as much as they are here. And I think that's part of the reason why Carol's kind of like, wow, like he made a name for himself back home, but like look where we are here, like he's his own person. He's standing on
Yeah.
his own 2 feet and he's
100%.
absolutely killing it. So it was
Mhm.
really interesting to see throughout the last few episodes her kind of response and her facial expressions to finding out all this information about Daryl.
Mhm. Now, hearing you say a couple of those things kind of sparked a little bit of my memory. So I kind of want to stop and take a look at the I don't know if maybe you remember how when they were talking about World Beyond and they were telling us little snippets and little things about it, but people were having their own expectations, thinking that it was going to be the Rick Grimes show. We were
Yeah,
going to see Rick Grimes. Well, there was a little part of me, and I'm not quite sure if it was because of word of mouth or if it was something I heard in an interview, but I genuinely, I mean, from the way that we left Daryl at in episode 1124, I thought the whole point of him leaving was to help look for Rick Grimes, his brother. He was wanting to find his brother.
mm,
And all I can say is I know that he was deterred from that path quite quickly. But this far in the game, what we've had 11 episodes now, we have not one time seen him find any clues. We have not seen him like ask around anything. He's not like looked at something and had a memory of Rick. Like,
Mhm.
there's never been any kind of inkling towards Rick in this show, and I'm kind of disappointed in that.
Like,
Like, I
he's
thought that there would
mentioned
be
it in the past.
something.
Yeah, no,
Right.
I totally get it. Yeah, he's totally
Yeah.
mentioned him in, like, a I don't think by name, but, like, "Oh, I have, like, a brother I'm looking for," or something, like,
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
sense of that, and they've mentioned that going to France kind of threw him off his
Mhm,
journey,
mhm.
but realistically, you're getting thrown off your journey, you're gonna hop back on the horse and find your way back, but he
Yeah.
kind of got into a position where he has all these people kind of looking to him and just I think, like, he had a set
Right. And
journey,
I'm
which
not mad
was
about it because
yeah.
we love
But
Daryl
I
and he's
totally
here to
get your
shine.
because I mean, I realistically, as a viewer who's watched a lot of television,
Uh,
like, that was just a plot point to get him separated from the crew, and I wish it
right.
was as simple as them being like, "Wait, like, this entire show is actually about us finding Rick," but
Uh huh.
realistically, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't kind of, like, bringing it up, or if they don't end
Yeah.
up bringing it up, I don't know, but,
Mhm.
it's just one of those things. I'm really excited to see how it works out, but, what's
Yeah.
yours?
Me too, for sure.
So Daryl was Rick's shadow, but in France he is not. Yes,
No, he's
we're able to
not.
see him stand on his 2 feet, and it's been really, really interesting to watch.
Love it.
Yeah, he was, but he's not in Rick's shadow anymore. You're right about that one. Hell yeah, she is. But no, no, I
It's
totally
so
get what you're
nice to
saying.
see him be able to kind of like blossom too. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
and I think that's the one thing that I was a little irritated by because I was really, really excited about the idea that, wait, like maybe we will because I truly think that we can't end this show or whatever without a Daryl and Rick reunion. Like this has been a big plot point. Like, and it's not even just for fan service. It's just the choice of writing for these characters in the last whether it's been 5 years, because even after Rick left, we had an episode dedicated to Daryl living on his own looking for Rick and him having a mental breakdown when he literally couldn't when the map was, like, tearing apart and he wasn't even a step closer to finding
God,
Rick,
and he
like,
was out there for how many years? Like, yeah,
Exactly. So it's like if they get to the point where we don't even get that, because at this point it's not even fan service. It's to bring the
pitchforks,
writing
pitchforks.
full exactly. To bring the writing full circle, you need to do this. Like it's a must at this point. You can't just
Yeah.
skip over it. And being where we are now, where his journey was to go and find Rick, and then with them teasing at the end of season one with Carol saying, "Oh, he is here, is back," just to find out that what she was talking about is hope. The
Hmm.
feeling of hope is back. And then I know a lot of people are saying flat out, like, "Hey, like this is maybe she's lying because she knows that he has to bring Laurent to safety or whatever it is." But I truly don't believe it's that deep. Like that's just a huge theory.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's as simple as them being like, yeah, like we're not, we just wanted a reason to get you guys excited. I don't even know,
Right.
man, but it's definitely one of those frustrating things. I don't know. Hey, sorry I'm
Right.
late. Best episode of the season so far. Wow. Okay. Can't stay on for long, but glad to see you too. I'm glad you stopped in for a
Hi,
little bit.
Ty.
And I really, really appreciate that opinion of yours because I said this in one of my reviews. I loved episode 4, but I truly believe the reunion was the best part of the episode, which isn't something that should carry the episode. And
Hmm.
after watching this episode, I felt like I should like this episode more than episode 4, but due to the reunion, that carried so much weight for me. But this episode has so much in it, so I think that's why it's realistically it's one of the better episodes of the season, in my
So,
opinion.
one thing that has that's been proven the last two episodes that's really starting to break me down is how we really can't have anything nice. We cannot have anything happy for longer than five
Nope,
seconds, and it's making me mad. We
that's The
had the
Walking Dead.
reunion with Daryl and Carol, and then we turn around and we kill
Isabel,
Isabel.
yeah, I
And then
know.
and that right, and then today we turn around and we get Daryl and Carol reunited, or we get Daryl reunited with Laurent, and then boom, we got to tell Laurent about Isabel dying. Like,
Man, no, I totally get what you're saying. I mean, that was definitely a huge buzzkill for me
we can't just
personally.
dwell on the happiness for a
Yeah,
second. No.
and I mean, it's just the idea that, like, And I think I mentioned this to you last episode. It felt like in order to have Carol on the show, we have to get rid of a character. It just felt like it didn't
But
fit
I've
for
never
me.
thought of that having to be the way that it is
But that's
before,
the
and I
thing.
don't like it. I don't like it
If
at
you
all.
go back to some of the other seasons in early Walking Dead, like it's like they would introduce a character and then they would kill off another. You know what I'm saying? There's so many
But
circumstances
it
of
wasn't as
them
in
doing
your
that.
face as it is with this show.
The thing is, I feel like it kind of well, as in this show, yes, I do understand that because she was quite literally a main character. She wasn't just a side character, so I do
Right.
understand that. So, but that's the one thing that was irritating me because I mean, not only did they get rid of Sylvie like an episode prior to that, but then we're getting rid of a main character, a character who's literally like basically co-starring. Yeah, she's not a title character, but she's up there, and so it's just one of
Right.
those things where I'm just like, what are we doing? Like honestly,
And
but
the fact that they're trying to make this connection between Laurent and Daryl, I think is like it's bittersweet because Laurent, I know I'm jumping ahead a tiny bit, but
mhm,
when he mentions to Daryl that everyone that he loves dies, I was just
mhm.
like, oh my God, that's Daryl to a T. Like,
Yeah,
and
and
it's true.
that's definitely a similarity that I did see. Um, First, I was really like the way he was kind of describing it, because I know I mentioned this in our last review. I was like, with the route we're going in season 3, I am really curious to see how it's gonna work with us having a kid with us, because one of the main things is like feeling like we're a little restricted because we can't do as many things as we could. If it was just Daryl and Carol, we could go through so much. They could, the writing can be a lot more brutal, and they don't really
Mhm.
have to factor in the fact that there's a child with them. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I feel like you have to restrict yourself a little bit when there is a kid. That way you don't go too overboard with the violence.
Mhm.
Um, but I think that like going into this with the way they were talking, Laurent flat out was like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna stay here." And I'm like, "Are we really saying goodbye to Laurent like in season 2? Like, is this really gonna be how things end?" And then at the end, we ended up getting him being like, "No, I'm going with you." And I was excited, but it was just one of those things that I was genuinely like curious. I thought that was it. Like I truly did.
Mhm.
Wish we got more episodes. Can't wait for Dead City. Heard that it's gonna be 8 episodes for season 2. That would be amazing. I am not sure yet. Yeah,
Yes. I can't wait
but
either. But there was something that you had said about um Laurent that reminded me of something. I have ADHD, so like I get a thought and I lose it. But I just I feel like Laurent is a good contender in this show though, because I cannot tell you how many times I have been blown away by the reasoning, the understanding, and that this child conveys and talks to people, and the volume of what he says and how it carries and how it impacts somebody, because we had that arc with Caudron and he thanked him for that. Like his lifestyle changed right then and right there. And I feel like even though Laurent is a kid, there's there's a certain aspect of maturity there that I think will get him ahead, even though he will be taking this journey with them to Spain. At least I hope so. Um, and I think that they were also trying to set up maybe the fact that there will be more violence with the child on the journey, because remember at the beginning of the season, Daryl was training him. So I think that we might kind of circle back to the training at some point, and he'll just become a little badass. Not comparing him, but a great example of a child turning into a badass would be Carl. So,
yeah, yeah. I mean, I can see that. I mean, I don't know. I'm really curious to see what they do. I mean, there's a lot of different possibilities. Again, Carl had a little more time to
mm,
develop, and again, with the amount of episodes that they were given in each season, I feel like he had more screen time in order to go crazy, and for us to see the little serial killer he became. But where we are here. I feel like it's a little more delicate, and I think that's where the writing just comes into play better because it's like,
Mhm.
if you can manage to do all this development, all of this, like, good character building in a span of 6 episodes each season, it is pretty impressive, and I think that's part of the reason why I'm really, really impressed with the relationship between, Daryl and Cadrone, because 'cause we're
Mhm.
seeing, them even though they've barely been on screen together, it's just like the little time that they've had, we're seeing them come such a long way. So
Yeah.
it's been really, really interesting to see, just a little bit what they're doing with that,
And I
but,
keep getting so hung up on these characters. And I don't know if it's a tactic on The Walking Dead's behalf to do this, but they're just so good at developing the characters in this show so quickly to make me get attached to them. And I was talking to our friend Tomaj, and he mentioned to me a theory of his about how he thinks everyone from the show is going to die off or fall off, and it's going to become the Daryl and Carol show. And I just, that kind of devastated me because so many of these characters I feel like could be vital to our communities in America. Like Falou, come on, that guy is
yeah,
always on the front line. And he's someone that you can trust. And like we already know, it's hard to find people like that.
but I think Tamaj he always has a point, man. It's like, we've watched these
But
shows,
then
like,
that would
long
mean the
enough.
show meant nothing.
I know,
That's
but we have watched this long enough to realize that that is very well a possibility, and I think that's the reason why, again, I was really upset with the whole Isabella thing because it's like, realistically, Carol was supposed to be in the 1st season. So,
yes, yes,
obviously,
yes.
with that not being the case, we had to find a way to kind of make the story work with just Daryl. So
Yeah.
now that she's back in the picture, we need to find a way to make sure that Daryl isn't just a headline, Carol is fitting, and they're both getting that equal opportunity, which unfortunately
So the
means
first season was
creating a
side
story for
quest.
exactly, kind of like creating a story for the both of them that doesn't
Just a
just come
placeholder
from
until
Daryl.
Melissa
Yeah,
was ready. Yeah.
exactly. So Daryl being the main reason that they are involved with these characters might not really work because they
Right.
both need that equal footing. So I really wouldn't be surprised if they find a way to get rid of or just make whatever happened irrelevant and only keep Laurent, or even if Laurent does take a backseat and unfortunately stay, maybe they can keep him with Philippe. That way,
Hmm. Hmm.
Philippe doesn't die. He'll have that
Right.
plot armor.
Right.
But I don't know. I think it's just one of those things where it's like, it's just frustrating because the real life events unfortunately affect the story that we're getting,
Hmm.
and that's always unfortunate. But I've been happy with what we've gotten so far,
Yeah.
so
I'm
I'm
sorry I
hoping
took
things
us
work
on like
out.
a
No, 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 no,
tangent like
no.
that,
I
but
mean,
I'm
that
try
works
to
out. I
reel it
mean,
back in. I think
fuck,
I
no worries.
one thing that kind of blew my mind was Falou was trying to hint to them that the information that they're looking for is not that far away. And Daryl was like, I'm not don't really have any friends down there. And then we see the Demimonde again, and I loved seeing Carol's like the whole way through. She was just like, what is this place? Is this even real? I loved it. And to see
Yeah,
Anna come back and she's the boss lady now that Quinn is gone, like that was beautiful. I
that was
loved
pretty
that.
cool. The nightclub, I think, was one of the coolest touches that they had, and for her to actually follow through and help out Daryl without having any side, you know, having an ulterior motive, I
Hmm.
think was really cool because I truly expected her to be like, well, unfortunately, the nest offered me this much to turn you in, so
Then
I expected something crazy, but realistically,
hmm.
when she popped up on screen, despite everything from before, I was excited. I was like, yeah, like I don't know what it was, but I was excited.
Hmm.
And, like, one of the things, it's like, not only did, Daryl Dixon, but they did this in Dead City. Like, we're getting a nightclub that's welcome to everyone, like, just, people can just seem to walk in there without an issue. And we have a similar thing that we saw in the first episode of Dead City, where they have a bar that legit, like, as long as you're not being a pain in the ass, you seem to be able to just walk in there. So it's just really cool that some of these establishments are still active,
Mhm.
and it's just one of those things that, like, I just get really excited about because it's like kind of one step towards civilization, or the
Mhm.
way things used to be, and it's just pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and we also saw, through what Anna said, that once again, the glue that was keeping this relationship going was essentially Laurent, because he was like, "Thank you, I appreciate that." When she told him that she would give him ethanol, and she's like, "I'm not doing it for you." Like, straight up, it's not for you, Daryl. It's for the boy. Like, this is
Mhm.
everybody is there for Laurent, and
And
I
that's
love
one
that
thing.
dynamic.
That's one thing that I can back you. I agree with you because I mean the thing is Isabella even said this. She was like, yeah, he might not be the messiah that you think he is, like someone with magical powers, but he's someone that can bring people together. Like
Yeah.
his thoughtfulness, his happiness, his joy. That doesn't really exist anymore. So he is special in his own way without there being some type of walk on water type of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
in some ways, I know you don't watch anime, but in some ways, he reminds me of Luffy. Cause like, yeah, Luffy got some dope ass powers, but like the main thing, even like the Navy would say about him is that like he has this joy about him that he brings people together. And like there's some amazing ass dialogue talking about just who he is enough to bring people together and
Mhm.
despite their differences, to follow one cause, and
Yeah.
it's one thing that I've really enjoyed. And he's had his enemies, like a blind enemy, look at him and say, I wish I could see one more time just to see the face of someone who can bring all these people together, and
Yeah.
it's just like to see a character like Laurent who has all of these people, no matter what side, like he turned Cadron into like a a hero in a sense,
Yeah.
someone who's actually going out of his way to help people who doesn't need to do that. He saved Carol, he saved Daryl, he saved Laurent, and now we have the nightclub people looking out for us. Like he is
Mhm.
doing so much, and it's been really cool.
Right.
Help me out. Who's Quinn? He's Laurent's biological father.
Yes. He
Yeah,
ran the
Isabella's.
demi-monde before.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh,
he
perfect.
dueled with Daryl against the variants.
Yeah, it was the little yeah, that was a really cool sequence. Again, seeing that at Comic-Con was pretty dope. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, but that's one thing that I am enjoying about LeBron. It's like he has so many people believing in him, and it's just making a big difference, like they all trust him. And although yeah, he may not be the guy that some of them think he is, like the cure or whatever, but
Mhm.
it's just really cool to see his calm demeanor being able to have everyone, despite their differences, kind of come together. It's one
He
thing
always
that
sees the
yeah,
best in everyone.
yeah.
Every event, every person, everything. He sees the best in it and he turns it around. And I really think that adults are kind of magnetized to him more than the children are, because remember we had that episode with the kids and they were kind of treating him like an outcast. Now I know normal that I mean that's what kids will be kids, you know what I mean? But for us to see Laurent treated like that and for him to feel being treated like that, I could see where perhaps he would be a little hesitant about coming back to see the kids in America. But um, what he doesn't know is that we know the kids back in the Commonwealth and Alexandria are amazing kids just like him, and they would
Mhm.
100% enjoy having him there.
Yeah, and hopefully one of these days we get a big, reunion with everyone. Does
Oh
seem
my
like one
God,
of
could
those
you
things that's too
imagine
good to be
Judith and
true.
Laurent being besties?
Yeah. Like I think it would be cool to I think like if we ever got it, it would be as simple as them meeting. But God, it would just be so cool to get like a spin-off of like just everyone finally back together. Just a 6 episode series of I don't know, man, but
Life
there's
back
just
at home.
yeah, like I know a lot of people feel as though this show might or should have ended, but just having the different shows and these characters around still it's extremely comforting for me.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I
Just
am
because
happy with
y'all
what's
fell
gonna happen.
off doesn't mean everybody else did.
That's right,
And
yeah.
and obviously, and the ones that really get me are the people that comment things like
Oh, this is still going on?
hasn't this show just
Yeah,
outlasted itself, or it should be over by now, blah blah blah. It's like, no, it
nah.
keeps bringing us more. And they wouldn't do it if they didn't have the money, if they didn't have the following. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? I mean, this is one of the few TV shows that has outlasted time. So
yep,
love every second of it. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that have their favorite characters and a lot of people that have their least favorite characters. Tomash, I love Dead City
mhm.
so much. And you were at New York Comic Con, which I would love to hear about, but seeing that teaser for Dead City, oh my
Yeah.
God,
And
my
I
mind
really
was
I was, like,
blown.
ready to pull out my camera to, like, record my reaction, but the one thing I didn't get about that panel was they had, like, guards walking up and down the aisles, like, making sure like, he yelled at one of the guys, like, he made him watch he watched the guy delete the footage, like, that's how crazy it was. He was sitting right behind me, but it's like,
Well, that
they
must
were
be why my
so
thing got copyrighted then.
but
Oh,
that's the
right
thing.
away.
They were so serious about, like, them not recording the footage, but not
Uh-huh.
even, like, 20 minutes after they showed it to us, they put it on YouTube. Like, the actual Dead City, like, the Walking Dead account put it on YouTube,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Yo,
Yeah.
y'all were legit,
And
like,
it was less than
this
30
was
seconds.
crazy." Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, "What are we doing, bro?" Like, it's one thing if you didn't want nobody seeing it. There was barely any spoiler stuff in it, other than, Daryl banging showing that he's kind
Negan.
of back in yeah, excuse me. Showing that Negan is back in that, I'm all over the place, but back in that, Negan state, but,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I
it was
couldn't
just really
believe it when
interesting.
we saw old Lucille make a
Yeah.
return.
God, it was so cool, but, yeah, man, I don't even know what else to say. What else do we gotta talk about?
No. So going back, we set up the Lasang and Jacinta coming into the Demimon to find them.
Mhm,
Oh, and when they were in that, I want to. We did skip a little bit, and now I'm kind of remembering it. Also, when Lasang and Jacinta showed up to that Sky community, you know, I wish that I knew her name, but the girl that takes over whenever Falu is not there, like
yeah.
his right hand woman, I thought it was such quick thinking when she was like, "What?
Everybody gather up, we
Laurent's
gotta
not
find
with
him.
you? Laurent's not at the nest? Everybody get ready, we gotta go."
Yeah.
Like, I
Nah,
love
I
that.
liked that a lot, but I mean, I wasn't surprised. Like, it seemed like they were
That
buying
Rubik's
it too.
Cube.
They were buying it too, yeah, until they saw the Rubik's Cube, and as soon as the Rubik's Cube
My
kinda,
ass. No
popped
one's
up, I
seeing
was
that
like,
Rubik's Cube
"Ah,
across.
shit." Yeah,
No.
it was pretty bad, but I mean, like, God, I just can't wait. Oh, I totally forgot that happened this episode. We got to say goodbye to Lo Sang.
Yes.
I
And we got
totally
to see
was
the
all over the place.
catacombs. That was crazy.
Yeah, and again, your favorite moments. The screen went extremely dark. How'd you feel
So
about that?
dark.
How'd you feel about that?
Man, I was like this.
Yeah.
I
I mentioned it in my
was like,
review.
I
I'm
don't
like
want to miss a thing.
I was thinking of like your comments, and it's like it just brought me back to like not only just like there's so many shows that have amazing moments, but like the lighting really is a make it or break it, you know? And
Yeah.
that's kind of what they did here, like with the lighting and a final like
It's
boss
very
battle, if you will.
realistic. We got to
It
remember that.
is,
Yeah.
but like this is a zombie show. Like
Yeah.
I want to see what's going on, you know? And it's like part of me understands it, but at the same time, it's like, bro, like it just would have been cool to see like just the combat happen because this has been something that's been building up since like episode 1 or 2 where friggin' Losang looked at Daryl and said, "Hey, like let's spar. Let's see who can actually like be the big dog around here."
He
And
warned him too. He was like, "Don't
yeah,
challenge
not with
me."
that little ass toothpick. Yeah, and to see it kind of like actually kind of play out and for Daryl to not only crack the skull in his hand, but the one attached to Losang was extremely brutal. It was insane. It makes sense. At the end of the day,
I'm
Losang
sure he had
killed
some backyard fights
Isabel.
with Morgan, so he knew how to kind of
Yeah,
combat
he knew
stuff anyways.
he knew the little weaknesses behind it. Now
Yeah.
it was interesting, but I really liked how they kind of like had that go down, and then we had Quadrone versus whatever her name is,
Jacinta.
Jacinta. Yeah, so that was pretty crazy. But
Man, when he threw her against that wall, I was like, is she dead? We need to
nah,
make sure she's
yeah, like
dead. What
then
about double tap?
We had that Michael Bay moment at the end where she just does a little like flicker or whatever it was, and now we know she's still around. But
No.
God, I hope we never see her again for real.
And that is what's going to ignite season 3. We have to have
Jesus,
another
bro.
villain.
Said Carol's expression to the nightclub. Yes, that was really funny. I like when the girl started grinding on Carol, and I'm like, bro, what are we doing? And then
And
it
she
turns
tried to
out
take
she
her
was trying
knife.
to rob her. Carol's like, nah, nah, we don't do
Yeah.
that. We don't do that here.
Mm-mm,
But
bitch. No.
says, yeah, what happened to all those kids? Was hoping to find out in season 2. Are you referring to the kids from Alexandria or the kids from? Oh, you're
The
talking about the kids from
elementary.
season 1. Yeah, 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 yeah. Shit, we're probably never gonna find out.
Probably not. But we loved them.
Yeah, that was a cool little. It was cool. Judith was bullied at one point. Yeah, that was an interesting episode for
That's
sure.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was.
Would you have liked it if Laurent had to save Daryl and kill Lil Sang? I think either way, I'm satisfied. I think realistically, knowing that Daryl was, if he was losing to Lo Sang, then it would have been kind of like, I just wouldn't have believed that, honestly. I mean, yeah, we've seen Lo Sang training, and we know that he's a really capable fighter. But after having a sequence in this show where Daryl has like took out 30 people in
Mhm.
legit like a 5 minute period, like I'm not gonna sit here and think that Lo Sang is a threat to
Mhm.
to Daryl one on one. As
Mhm.
soon as they show Lo Sang take out like freaking 30 people in the way he did, then I'll take it a little more seriously. But
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't think Laurent. If Laurent stepped in, it would have been a little weird. But at the same time, I would have thought it was cool considering that Laurent is in a position where he feels as though everyone that's near him, dies. So to see him prevent that from happening would have been a step forward to him maybe
Yeah.
believing, you
I
know,
Man, during that sequence of them fighting with each other too, like back to the darkness, like I was like, wait, what happened? Did he just get him down? I was like, is he down? Is
yeah,
he dead? Is this it? Is this it? And then when I finally realized he grabbed that skull and went to bash him in, I um uh, it's actually a little excessive, but in my reaction you can see that I'm like, for like literally a minute long. I'm just so happy. I was like, finally, this fucker is out of the way. Like, we
yeah.
can finally be done with him.
Nah, and that's the thing. Like, even though we have a whole episode left, my brain is still like being like I'm hoping this is it. Like, I really want this to be it. But I think we've been in such a weird position. Like, I think it's just hard to just think that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't
But I
know.
mean, the
I'm
guy that played Lustang did a very good job to make us hate him as
oh,
much as
for
we did.
sure.
And
For
the
sure.
writers, of course, like they did a very good job with this guy. Very good job because we loved him as soon as we first met him.
Yeah, I was like,
And then
great,
it
another American.
And then it was right downhill immediately when we came back from season 2. So it was
Yeah, and
like,
it's like the lack of Americans has it's never really bothered me. It was just the fact that like Daryl had someone else to kind of relate to
uh-huh,
that I
uh-huh,
really enjoyed. So I'm like, hey, like, look, we're gonna find another good guy. But no, I
uh-huh.
mean, like,
And Anna
no.
even said it when she was talking to Daryl and Carol. She was like, God, you Americans are everywhere. That was
Yeah.
hilarious. I was like, oh man. And I was thinking to myself, like, there's all 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next season, if we go like when we go to Spain or whatever, we see another American. It'd just be one of those things that would be kind of funny.
Hmm.
Well, let's hope that they're not a bad guy. Let's just hope things kind of work out. But I
Fingers
don't know,
crossed.
man. What else are we? What else do we need to scratch?
So I know that we leave the demi-monde and we've got the ethanol. That was very exciting. And then we go back to the hangar and Ash meets Laurent.
Yep.
And he's still like hot after that argument with Carol. So he's like not really wanting to he seems overstimulated to me. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? He's he's thrown into this interaction with this boy who he has no idea who he is, and then all
Mhm.
of a sudden Daryl adds salt to the wound, and he's like, this is the guy that's going to fly us home. And he's like,
Yeah,
what? He's like,
and
well, Paris, we have a problem.
I like how he didn't, like, immediately shut it down. Like,
Yeah,
the first thing Laurent did, of course, being the polite kid he is put out his hand and was like, "Hello, I'm Laurent," you know, and, I
I've
think
never
that's
seen a
also
plane before.
yeah, and I think that kind of shocked Ash, where Ash was like, "Manners, that still exists?" Like, it was
Yeah,
just really kind of funny to see the way he kinda was reacting to that,
yeah,
but, no, yeah, I mean, with hi the episode ending with him saying, like, what was it? France, we have a problem. Like, that is extremely corny, but that is so funny. It's so stupid but funny.
yeah. Man, and when he said it, and it's kind of, I don't know if you had any feelings going into that episode about the whole flight situation home, but I did mention in my reaction, I was like, I was like, in all reality, how many people does this plane sit? I was
Yeah.
thinking to myself, I was like, how many people are we going to be able to get in there and safely get home? And here he was,
Mhm.
the bearer of bad news once again.
Oh my
And
god.
um and the way that he just kind of stomped off screen like a child throwing a fit, I was like, oh wow, okay, here we go. And then immediately the wheels started turning, and I was just thinking to myself, because he said we're not going to be able to get there with all four of us, I started to think that Ash was going to stay behind and let Carol, Daryl, and Laurent take the plane.
Oh, no, I
but
don't know about that.
but Tamaj made me remember that they told us we're going to Spain. And
Mhm.
that's what the third season is. So I was like, okay, well, what if Ash stays in Paris? Because he knows French. He has nothing back home. Why would he leave? I think that he's going to stay there. And Carol and Daryl and Laurent are going to have to find their own way home. That's how we end up going to Spain.
Oh, man. Um, that's a lot. So, I'm really anxious to see how it's gonna play out. I don't know because I mean, again, they do end up there somehow. It could be
Mm-hmm.
as simple as them being like, "Yeah, take the plane, we're gonna find our own way." You're right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know. I really don't know, and I think that's the one thing that I'm enjoying about it because it's like usually I can try to have an idea on what they might do, but again, since we're in that 6 episode format, they have to like do things a certain way,
Yep.
speed things up a little bit. So sometimes they can just pull a random hat trick, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm curious, but I am excited.
Yes, me too. Very much so. I can't wait. I mean, and it's the finale, so it's got to be big. And we
Yeah.
already know that Jacinta's going to come back into the situation. So, I mean, I would really like it if we could just kill her before the third season starts.
But yeah. So Kara
But we
haunted by
ended
seeing
the first
Sophia.
season with Lasang, so.
Yes, so that is fair. Kara haunted by seeing Sophia at the rooftop community.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, yes. I was like,
Yeah.
this girl's seeing Sophia everywhere
And
now.
I'm pretty sure that actress that played the little girl she was looking at was the stunt double or whatever for some of the scenes because I know they were mentioning at Comic Con that they had to get like an actress to play like the stand-in for Sophia.
Yeah, and in the behind the scenes, they said that she didn't speak a lick of American. She was
Yeah, that's what
French
they said, and that's what they
100%.
said at Comic Con. Yeah,
Yeah,
so they were like it was a little difficult, you know, but at the same time it was cool.
yeah.
Said Lasang has Jacinta. She's crazy. Yes. But does the plane look like it could hold 4 people? No. But what else do we got to talk about before we call it a night?
I hope that we didn't miss anything. It was a really, really
Yeah.
action-packed episode. I really, really enjoyed it.
Mhm.
And like I said, um I really tip my hat to the people that find these locations and are able to tie them down, because these are places that never closed down, and they were closed down just for this show and to do all of this filming. And when we were in season 1 and we learned that the Demimond was in the catacombs, I was like, where is this going to come back at? We're going to have to see the catacombs up close. something's gonna have to happen here because you can't mention the catacombs in France and not put us in there. So I was really excited to see it come back around in this episode. And I mean, one of my least favorite movies of all time is called As Above, So Below, and I that takes place in the catacombs as well. So right away, and being a woman of faith, I know that that's not a place you're supposed to be. Okay, that is somewhere you want to be very, very far away from. And I think that the way that they presented it and what was happening in there was, it was just beautiful. I loved every second of it. Loved it. And the fact that their head came right there in front of the cross to kind of represent Lossing's faith at the same time, like that was huge.
Yeah, no, and I
Yeah.
get that. Crazy, crazy, crazy episode. We have one left. Don't know how crazy it's gonna be,
One.
but I'm glad that we already got confirmation of a season two, season three. So it makes you kind of go into this a little more, just a little better, I guess. But
Yeah.
I am excited. I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say. Anything else that we should dive
Oh
into?
wait, Laurent's never had a banana?
Oh yeah,
What?
him talking
What?
to Kadron about that was pretty funny.
That poor boy. Let's get
Yeah,
him a banana.
yeah. We'll start a GoFundMe for a banana for him. But
If I ever meet Louis, who plays Laurent, I'm giving him a banana.
what is this? Did y'all talk about? Yes, we need to talk about this. Okay,
Oh
so I
shit, that
was
was amazing.
yeah, thank you, Josh.
Thank
So
you for
that
reminding us.
I when I was watching this, I had no idea what was actually going on, bro. Like as soon as I saw Daryl kind of shoot the two walkers,
I
and
was
then
like, what are
all
you
of a
gonna do with
sudden we
that?
we just see pow, 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 and I'm just like, what is actually going on? Like that was my thought. Like maybe they're ripping them each other apart. Which, if that's the case, why did they not show it? That would have been visually insane. So cool to see.
Because it was so scary from the inside.
Oh my
Because you
god.
had no idea what. I mean, the emotion on Daryl and Carol's faces, they were just like, it was
Yeah, I totally didn't think
amazing.
about that at all, man. I don't know. There's just so much. I totally spaced out during that. Even Ash's response or reaction to seeing
He was
Daryl
out of
just
it.
sitting there. When he saw Daryl, he's like, "Who's that?" And then he kind of knocked back out.
Oh, that's
But
Sophia.
yeah. It's been a couple years. But no, yeah, it was just that was a really insane moment. And I think that's one of the things that they're really doing a lot of this. And part of
Yeah.
me doesn't like it because we're 15 years into this franchise. So it's like
Yeah.
I just want the meat. Stop giving me the potatoes,
Yeah.
even though I love the
Yeah.
potatoes. But
Yeah.
realistically, it's like they're giving us another hint, like, oh my god, they just ripped each other apart. But I'm not
Yeah.
gonna tell you how they ripped each other apart. You're gonna have to wait till season 9. It's just one of those things. But
I mean,
not
we
for
did see
sure.
the variants tear each other apart when Daryl was in there having to fight them because he used a couple of them against each other in order to win. So we
Yes.
knew that we knew of it, but I think we forgot about it. At least I
Yeah.
did. And I thought that that sequence was amazing, especially that I'm not quite sure. I'm just going to assume that they used a 360 camera because of the way that it was panning around the car. That was amazing seeing it from that perspective and being like in the nitty gritty. And I was like, I felt like I was in the car with them. And when everything went silent, I was like, now you guys have to worry about those bad mama jammas being out there and their
Mhm.
variants. They're gonna break the glass, and then boom, he came right in the window at Carol, and I was just like, ah. And I'm not really one to be uh I mean, I'm a very, I get scared very easily, but this TWDU has only done maybe a handful of things that have legitimately scared me, and this was one of them. That variant jumping in the back when Daryl was sitting there, that was sheer terror for me. I was so scared that that walker was going to get him. So scared, and I did not expect it to come through the back like that. So
Mhm.
that was amazing. That was a really great scene. Thanks for reminding us, Josh.
Yeah. But I think that's a perfect way to kind of wrap things up.
Yeah.
Again, it's a little bit of a shorter show. No baby today. We were hoping to have more guests on throughout the season, but again, we're just starting up the show. It's a big change from the way Phantom Spotlight used to do things, and I would love to do this again for Dead City because we have one
Yeah.
episode left. Again, it's up to you guys. The fact that we have people that are even in here is a plus. I mean, this could be an hour of us talking to no people, and I
Yeah.
think you guys being here is definitely a plus. So I do want to say thank you to you guys for being here. And if you guys want to see us do this for Dead City, I will definitely be here. I would love for Mommy to return because the fact that she's been here every episode does
Dude,
mean a
you know
lot to
it.
me. That way, I'm not talking to myself. It's
No.
very important to me, so I do appreciate you.
Yes.
Um,
I appreciate you.
yeah, of course. But yeah, I mean, of course, where can we find you? Start off with that.
Uh, well, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube by the same name, TWD Mombi. I
Mhm,
do reaction videos on YouTube, and I just over on Instagram, I'm basically a stan account for TWDU. So, and that's where you hear about my videos and things first.
mhm.
And come on over, give me a follow. It's never boring. There's lots of emotion all the time, high energy, always.
Yeah, and of course, I really hope to see her on this channel more. So that's the intention. Of course, as for me, you can find me, of course, here. But we're doing a lot of movie reviews and show reviews on Team JVS, which you can see in my description. We are, if you want full reviews for Daryl Dixon, they're over there. We do the reactions over here in a quick little, like, whatever. And then we do a whole review over there. But then, of course, we do the whole review right here, of course, me and Mombi. But we do a lot of other shows over there. So check that out. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. And we'll see you soon. Peace out.
Bye.